The 8 realtors that I work with right now are 8 of the highest producing realtors in the city of Denver and the state of Colorado. And I've been asked to come in and talk today about farming in the neighborhood. Each one of the realtors that I work with has farmed in the neighborhood. They all live in these neighborhoods. These neighborhoods are responsible for over 45% of their annual income. And so I've been asked to come and kind of talk about some of the things that we do to farm in the neighborhood. A little bit more about me. Born and raised in Denver. Graduated Manual High School. Look at this. And I spent about 2 to 3 weeks out of every month traveling around the country. Cherry Creek is in 34 states. Cherry Creek started the first cook by Jeff Bank. We had 5 employees. We're now one of the top 25 largest mortgage companies in the country. And it's pretty exciting. So I drove around to these classes. And this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so it's kind of frightening and fun all at the same time. All right, so let's talk about farming in the neighborhood.
Here, you want me to, let me share the brochure
Okay.
that you made, that way you.
Just share.
Yeah.
All right, so the way that we look at farming in the neighborhood is that it gives you a home base to start from, a home place to start your career that you can count on a certain amount of bills each year and then spread out in that base. Do any currently farm in the neighborhood right now? You went on TV. All right. Okay. If you don't farm in the neighborhood, let's talk about that, because I want you to start thinking of a neighborhood that you would like to farm. It's actually split perfectly in half right now. 4 realtors that I work with farm a neighborhood that they live in, 4 live outside the neighborhood that they farm. So I want you to start thinking about what neighborhood you'd like to start your work in. You said you're working in Bailey a lot. You have a lot of property. Maybe you're going to farm, quote unquote, Bailey. But I want you to start thinking of a neighborhood that you would like to farm. Ideally, I think starting out, the neighborhood size would be around 500 to 600, 700 households. I want a perfect neighborhood farm would have a very diverse price points. A great neighborhood farm would have entry-level homes as well as final homes that somebody's going to buy. I want to have some turnover. 15% at least, 15-20% turnover would be ideal in your neighborhood.
So you start very quickly. So sure. How do we measure that? Do we get the activity on a 2-year period and see how many properties have been moving?
I think that I would do that. You can look at MLS. You can use something called the Tenant Farm C. You've been in one of my classes to talk about Tenant Farm C. You can pull that up to see the number of sales that have occurred in that particular neighborhood. You know, a really great source of help for figuring out the neighborhood that you might want to work on is to get in touch with a good title person.
A title company. Okay.
A great title rep is going to be able to tell you if a certain realtor already seems to be working in that area. They'll be able to tell you exactly how many transactions a realtor has worked on in this specific neighborhood. And the reason I tell you to do that is I want you to find out in your neighborhood it looks like somebody's already working in there. And then you can make a decision if you want to take them on. One of my realtors I work with, his neighborhood gentrified. It just stopped selling. Nobody was moving. And we tried to hang in there for a couple of years. We're like, we got to find you someplace new. So we actually got involved with the neighborhood that I'm currently living in. I live in over 60 Monica. And I said, why don't you look into this neighborhood? We have a realtor. She's been in the neighborhood for over 30 years, but she's kind of gotten lazy. So let's kick her out.
Is that Denise?
No, we didn't kick Denise out. Denise is unkickable. I actually just saw Denise. I saw Denise at an open house down in the Denver Country Club just about 2 weeks ago. It was a preview for a house that is just being listed for sale. And I walked in and I saw Denise and gave her a big hug. She is a force. She kills Hilltop, that's for sure. She sure does. But so I want you to think, is this a realtor that you feel like taking on? Do you have that bandwidth? Do you have that power? Do you want to put in the work? And really, it can be fine, or it can be a little bit too much work for maybe you want to get involved in. So I want you to spend the rest of this week and this weekend thinking about the neighborhood you want to work in. Reach out to a title person, ask them to pull a report on how many transactions have taken place in that area. Ask them to pull a report that shows names of realtors that are involved in each of the transactions. And start thinking about that. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to build 2 books. One of these books, we've got a little shopping list for you. I want you to go shopping at Staples or Office Depot, and I want you to get 2 3-ring binders, just like you would get in school. And because of the time of year, one of them is going to say 2018 on the spine. I want you to write 2018. And then the other binder, I want you to write on the spine of it listing. Now, first we're going to talk, well, let's finish the shopping list. So you've got your binders. I need you to get 2 3-ring binders. I need you to get a whole bunch of college ruled or just whatever wide ruled paper you want. I want you to get a legal size clipboard. And the reason I don't want it to be letter size is when you're walking through and if you have a letter size clipboard, it's too close to hold. And so it's hard to write on. If you have a legal size, it gives you a little bit more room to prop this against your stomach and write on it. It's just easier to write on a legal size clipboard. I want you to buy a 3-ring hole punch. And I also want you to buy a whole bunch of those dividers, just like you had in school that had like math or whatever it was, where it has little tab up on top, the tab dividers for your books. And then the last thing I need you to buy are the Post-it note dots or arrows. And you can get 3 colors if you want, or you can just get 2 colors. The reason I want the Post-it note dots or arrows is you're going to be taking them off and removing them and putting them back on, and those are easy to remove once you put them on the divider piece. So once you have all of this shopping done, we're going to start putting together the 2018 books. This is the key for making this whole thing work, is that you have to be able to look at any seller at a listing appointment in this neighborhood that you're going to farm, and you have to be able to look them in the eye and say, I have been in every single home that is sold in this neighborhood since January 2018. And then you're going to do this again for 19 and for 20. My realtors have over 10 years of books right now that they have developed. And to make this work, you have to be able to look a seller in the eye and show them handwritten notes that you have been in each one of these houses since January 2018. A lot of the coaching that I do revolves around the subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind is a lot more powerful than the conscious mind. And when I was putting my social media and millennials class together, I learned that a millennial will decide within 7 seconds if they want to work with you. And you have just that amount of time to really instill in them a belief that you are capable of handling anything that they throw at you. And with these books are about showing off all of the knowledge that you have and keeping them all together in one place. One of the realtors I work with, she is recently retired. When we were looking at selling her business, she started talking to her grandson, and her grandson decided he wanted to get into real estate. His grandmother has sold more than $30 million of real estate consistently for several years. And we looked at giving him this book of business. And after about a year, I had a very aggressive conversation with his boy and with his grandma at a lunch. And I said, that's it, you don't get the business. We're gonna sell it. Your grandma needs this money, you'll take the business. You're lazy and you're not holding up your end of the bargain. And he started yelling and he started saying, you're not her grandson, I'm her grandson, and blood and all this. And I looked right at him and I said, you know what? Your grandma might love you, but she likes me a lot more than she likes you. I've helped her quadruple her business and we're good friends, and I'm not gonna allow you to do this to your grandma's book of business because you're not holding up your end of the bargain. And you've already missed out on 4 houses that have sold in your neighborhood, and your grandma hasn't missed out on 1 in over 10 years. So to make this all work, you have to do this. This is how you do it. You set up an alert within your Matrix system. And in Matrix, you can set an alert for any time a house goes up for sale in the neighborhood that you're working on. So I want you to get an alert and check that alert button every single morning and every single evening. And if you get an alert that says the house has been listed for sale, I need you to call that listing agent. And I need you to say something like, I have some buyers that are, I always have buyers looking in this neighborhood. And I've got a certain buyer that I think your house would work, but they make me preview any house before I even show it to them. They're kind of particular, and I know previews are a pain, and I'm sorry, and I'll work completely around your seller's schedule, but I sure would like to get in this house ASAP. This is what you do after you get the appointment set. I want you to grab your clipboard. I want you to pull the MLS listing, and I want you to pull the county records for this house. Then you're going to go off to preview this house. As you are walking, as you pull up to this house, as you're sitting in your car in front of this house, I want you to start writing down notes to yourself about what you are seeing. I want you to be writing down great street appeal, terrible neighbors, charming streets, whatever it is. The key to making these notes work is that in 3 to 5 years from now, when you are looking at your notes on this particular house, I want your mind to be immediately drawn to what you have read. My wife says that I have the ability to write the way that I speak, and it's something that I've worked on for a very long time. And so when I write something, I'm using terminology that I'm comfortable with, and so that when I'm writing it and I read something later, I can take my mind and be right in that place at that same moment in time. And that's what I want you to write about. I want you to go into the house and I want you to write living room, great, beautiful, natural light. I just love this house. Or this house is dark. This is gloomy. Terrible window coverings. Terrible paint choices. Ugly flooring. Whatever it is, I need you to go through and I want you to take immaculate records and writing about what you see. I'm also going to coach you about this. If your eyes fall on something more than 3 times, that means it's either terrible or it's awesome. So while you're walking through a room, if you're looking around and you look at the fireplace, and the next time you're walking by, you look at the fireplace again, and that 3rd time, that means that you're either looking at something that's really awesome or really terrible because your mind is drawn to those things. It's drawn to extremes. If you just scan through a room, nothing awesome is taking place or nothing terrible is taking place. I was presenting down in Arizona. It was an all-day class of 4 classes in a row. And during the lunch break, there were 2 realtors that work as a team, and they were working on a fix and flip that they had just put together. And they said, Scott, we're having a hard time selling this house for whatever reason. It's just not going under contract like we thought it would. Would you mind coming out and taking a look at this house and giving us your opinion of it? I walked by that front door of this house, and every single time I walked by it, I thought, that is the ugliest door I've ever seen. And then I walked by it again, I'm like, that's still ugly. God, that's really ugly. And it was the 3rd time when I walked by it and I thought it, I'm like, Scott, pay attention to what you're doing because you talk about these in your classes. I turned to the realtors and I said, that front door is terrible. And I point, and they both looked at each other and they smiled and they said, yeah, we were hoping we weren't going to have to replace it. Like, that's a terrible door. It's just terrible. Isn't it terrible? And they're like, it's terrible. The color was terrible. The glass was terrible. Everything about this door was just terrible. They called me up about 3 weeks later and they said, Scott, we replaced the front door and we had contracts within a week. I'm like, that's so weird. But just something like that. So again, if your eyes fall on something and it's either great or terrible, write it down. If you're going through and you can, I want you to take some pictures. That's why I want you to look at MLS too, because I want you to see the pictures that are in it. Because usually they're not going to include pictures of terrible things. So if there's something pretty terrible, take a picture with your phone. Snap a couple pictures. When you leave this house, in your book that says 2018, you're going to put the address in the tab. Right behind the address, I want you to also grab the listing brochure when you're there. So behind the tab, the first thing I want is the listing brochure. Behind the listing brochure, I want you to put the county records. Behind the county records, I want you to put the MLS printout sheets. Behind the MLS printout sheets, I want you to put all of your notes. And behind all of your notes, I want you to put any picture that you took while you were out at that house. Print them up and put them in this book. That is your 2018 book, and you are going to go into every single home that sells in your neighborhood from this point on, period, non-negotiable. And in our market, houses are moving fast at certain price points, and you're going to have to be on your game. When he did not get into those 4 homes, we kind of rigged it a little bit. We put in some notes to make it look like we were in the house. But I don't want you playing catch up. I always want you to be able to say and mean it that you have been in every house that is sold in this neighborhood since January 2018. So that's the first book you're putting together. The second book is your portfolio book. I want you to think of yourself as a high fashion model. And you're going to build a portfolio book to show off how you work. Have any of you in this room read The Danger Report? Y'all have homework. On TV too, you have homework.
What's the name of the book?
It's not a book. It's called the NAR, the National Association of Realtors Danger Report. Let me see if I can remember what danger is, the acronym for it. It's Definitive Analysis of Negative Game Changers Emerging in Real Estate. That's pretty strong for a Tuesday after lunch, I might say.
Where do you find it?
It's on the NAR website. So you're a member of NAR and you can just download it directly from NAR. The reason that I want you to do this is that, I'm sorry. NAR commissioned this report. They spent millions of dollars commissioning this report. They didn't like what it said and they didn't tell any of you about it, which is so NAR. It makes me kind of chuckle. But what the NAR Danger Report says is that you all are doing a very poor job of explaining your value to the transaction of real estate. Millennials do not understand what you do. They don't understand why they should pay you what you're being paid. And if you don't pick up your game, you all are going to be replaced by the 1%ers. That's kind of the gist of the NAR Danger Report, but I still want you to download it and read it. And for all of your knowledge, my realtors, we don't play with our percent. We don't discount to get a deal. The only time we might discount is if we have worked with a client 5 or 6 times. But we don't discount what we make. We earn every single penny that we make. But we are also very good at describing and helping somebody understand everything that we do. And part of putting this book together that says listing that you're going to take out on all of your listing appointments is to show that homeowner there's a lot more to sell in your house than putting a sign in front of it and sticking it in MLS. And let me show you all the things that I'm going to do. So in that listing book, you're going to have a tab that's marked staging. And you're going to have before and after pictures of rooms and houses that you have staged. There's a wonderful website. Do any of you look at that website, Houzz, H-O-U-Z-Z? I can fall into that website for hours. I really can. I fell into it just even actually last night. I kind of go into, it's called H-O-U-Z-Z, Houzz. It is my favorite website to look at houses, and it's just, they have the most beautiful homes on that website. But what Houzz has really helped me learn to do is to conceptualize and understand the importance of staging. All of those rooms are staged so perfectly well. And all of you need to be able to offer to stage a home. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can hire a stager to come up with a plan for you. It's typically around $350 to get a plan. But you all should be proficient at staging. We stage every single house we sell. We could be selling a $50,000 condo if they even exist anymore. I don't even know if those exist. Up to a $5 million house, and we're going to stage every single house that we sell. There are 3 levels of staging that we offer. The first level is us. That's 90% of the time. At higher price points, that client is going to expect a stager to be involved. You can hire it, or you can try to talk that homeowner into paying for it. You need to have at least 1 or 2 stagers that you work with, that you understand how they work and that you can get help with. And that's level 2 is when you have to hire it out. And level 3 is for the person that brings in furniture. and art. We've only had to do that a handful of times. And when we've had to do that, it's involved a builder with a spec home that they couldn't sell. So a builder puts up this big giant house, and then they're surprised when they can't sell it when it's this big giant empty house. And so as part of that listing, we tell them, here's the name of a stager. They're going to bring in furniture and art, and it's going to cost you about this much money. And it's going to cost typically between $10,000 to $20,000. But that stager that brings in an entire house full of furniture, they also get a cut on any of the furniture that they sell and any of the art that is bought as well. Because at that point, if you play at that super high end of the market, that super high end of the market is scary and tough. And if you're going to play in that market, you've got to offer this level of staging for an empty home or even a home that needs it, because what you're selling is not a house, you're selling a lifestyle. And you have to be able to show that buyer that lifestyle that they're going to have when they walk into this house, because a typical buyer can't understand those things. They have to be shown it. Along with staging, I want you to have a round dining room table, as well as a square and rectangular dining room table. They all need to seat 4. Then I also need you to have one high table, kind of like a bar that has 2 chairs, for those condos that don't have an actual dining room or dining area, but they kind of have a space where you could set that high table, because you have to show a buyer what the use is of each room. If you have a house where somebody has converted a bedroom to an office, you convert that office back to a bedroom, because a buyer needs to see that room set up as a bedroom so they understand the use of it. I see this all the time because people don't use dining rooms anymore. That people will set up an office in a dining room. Nope. You turn that room back to a dining room, because somebody's going to walk through the house and they're going to say, you know, I know we don't really use the dining room that much, but I would still like it for when the family gets together. And that house didn't have one. No, it did. It was just set up as an office, and somebody can't understand it if they don't see it. You're going to need to know at least 20 different shades of white. I want you to know what white you need to use if the room is dark, what white you need to use if the room is light. Staging is so critically important to your success. I'm also going to tell all of you this. One of the reasons my realtors are so successful is that other realtors completely trust them when they're showing their property. They know that my realtors are always going to price the heck out of their house at the very, very top of the market. But they also know that if they bring their buyer to see our house is going to be ready to be seen. They can trust us. Nothing makes one of my realtors more angry. They will refuse to ever work with that realtor again. Is if they go to show a picky client a house, and they've looked it all up and they've seen the pictures and it looks beautiful, and then they take their client over there to see it, and this house is torn up, and that buyer looks at them and says, this house is gross. I don't even want to look at it. Why did you pull me out of work to look at this? My realtor is like, I will kill this realtor for doing this, because it makes them look bad and it's a waste of time. So every realtor in the entire city knows that if they show one of my folks listings, that house is going to be perfect and ready to be seen. One of the things we do with staging is we typically remove at least 1/4 to 1/2 of the furniture that's in a house. We put it in a pod. We have that pod sent off to storage. But we're going to say to that homeowner, we're going to give you 5 days to say goodbye to your house. And on Friday, we'd like for you to leave the house at about 9 o'clock in the morning. Here's some gift certificates for McDonald's and McDonald's Land Playland. Or here's a picnic lunch that I packed for you to take your kids, and a couple of tickets to the zoo. Have a fun day. When you get home this evening, you're barely going to recognize your house. I'm getting to work. We're going to move furniture around. We're going to go through and remove all the personal pictures. You don't want any of personal pictures, because somebody starts looking at who lives there instead of thinking about, do I want to live here, and seeing themselves. We typically always try to, at a very minimum, paint the trim around all the rooms. A nice high gloss white. It makes the rooms look bigger. I'll also tell you this, and I mean it. I don't know you guys really well enough to say this, but I'm going to embarrass myself. I think that new carpet, new paint smell is an aphrodisiac to buyers. I think they walk in and they go, new carpet, new paint, and they all get all warm and fuzzy inside, and they get all happy. So I want you to think about putting some new carpet, new paint smell in your house. Get these rooms ready to be seen. Get this house ready to be seen. So that's staging. The second one I need you to have is recommendations for moving and storage. Moving and storage recommendations.
That's the next tab.
That's the next tab in the book, moving and storage. In the moving and storage section, you are going to have recommendations for somebody that can help you move furniture around while you're staging it, move stuff into storage. When you're moving in storage, you're going to have a recommendation, a strong recommendation to help somebody move across town or across the entire United States. With those movers, I don't think that there is anything more criminal than some of these disreputable moving companies that hijack somebody's furnishings. And they say things like, well, it's 1,000 extra pounds than we thought it was going to be. And to get your furniture, you owe us an additional $800 and some dollars. I think that's highway robbery, flat out. So you need to have strong recommendations to move somebody across town as well as somebody across the country. Under storage, I need you to have the pods that can be delivered. You're going to need, with some people, if there are antiques involved, they need to be climate controlled. And how much these things are, where they are located, and how this all works. Those are some moving and storage recommendations that you're going to need to give to that homeowner. Another tab that I need you to have is general maintenance and repair. Please also remember this. Any person or company that you refer that does work, that person is you. 100%. You are referring yourself. So these people are extremely vetted, but you will be extremely loyal to these people, and you will always send them more and more business. But for that general maintenance repair, I need you to have a plumber, an HVAC person, an electrician, a roofer, a handyman. I want you to be able to give them a great floor person. This is not like carpets are us. There's a lot of very reputable, very small flooring people that come into homes and they can refinish hardwoods. They can put in new carpet, new paint, linoleum. They can do it, and they do it on the cheap, and they do it really quick. So I need you to have an awesome floor person. And then I also need you to have an awesome painter. Somebody that can come in down and dirty real quick, get some fresh coat up on a paint, make house look really good fast. And it's not terribly expensive. An excellent painter is worth their weight in gold. I love my painter, and I'm not sharing, just so you know. You don't get my painter. Okay? Maybe I'll share if I'm feeling nice. But I have a great painter. So all of these recommendations are people that you do business with that you're going to say, I'm going to refer you to my clients, and I expect for you to take great care of them. So that's maintenance and repair. Any questions so far in this? All right. Next section, I need you to have a section that's marked brochures. And I want you to have 5 examples of brochures that you have put together for various listings that you have had. One of our typical brochures, just so you can understand, our typical brochures are a fold over. It's just like this, 8.5, but it's larger, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Fold over. Got a front page, you open it up, back page. Title companies can be very helpful in helping you with the cost of your brochures. So again, a strong title person is also worth their weight in gold. They're going to be able to help you with so many different things. But they can help you with some of your printing costs. And so I want you to have 3 to 5 examples of brochures. You've been in one of my classes. I know we talked about it. I don't recognize any of the other folks here. And in my class, I talk a lot about our brochures. And what we do differently is we put a picture of what we believe is the #1 marketing influence on the front of each of our brochures for each of the houses that we list. And 99 times out of 100, it is not a picture of the front of the house. I find a picture of the front of the house completely boring on a brochure. For example, one of, I believe, our most successful brochures ever was for a home that was located over in Congress Park. And when we went to sell this house, it was at Denver Square. The house had been remodeled in the 1980s. It needed to be redone again. It was okay. It was showing dated. We put a picture of Bromwell Elementary School on the front page of our brochure, and underneath it, it said, "Welcome students fall 2014. Denver's highest rated elementary school, www.bromwell.org." That was on the front page of our brochure. Then you opened it up and there were nice pictures and nice words about our house. And then the bottom page of the back page always says, "I'm the greatest realtor and I look forward to meeting you." Okay? This was right before our market really took off here. We had 4 offers in 11 days and they all came from families with elementary school age children because we identified who was going to be most interested in buying our house and we marketed to them the minute that they walked in the door, because what's the first thing they do is they grab the brochure. And realtors that we talked to that gave us feedback said, that was pretty smart. Because my homeowner was talking about Bromwell when they walked in your kitchen, and your kitchen sucked. And we're like, I know, it does. But you can spend $26 per year per kid over at Grayland where we do the kitchen. And a couple kids at Grayland for a year, shoot, you can do a lot with our kitchen for what that's going to cost you. So I want you to think, what is the #1 marketing influence that you are putting together? Put that on your front page of your brochure. And then when you're out at a listing appointment and you have 5 examples of your brochure, and each one of them has a different and unique picture and it's kind of cool, that's another way for you to say to that homeowner, here's all the things that I do. And it's a great way to set yourself apart from your competition, because all they have are pictures of brochures with a picture of the house on the front of it. So we've got that section, and then the last section is the appraisal packages. Now this is where it's kind of going to be a little complicated for those of you who have not been in my previous class. So with the appraisal package, I'm going to say, bless you, I'm going to say that you're going to have that, and then I'm going to, bless you, if that's okay. I'm going to tell all of you that I'm going to come back and teach that first class for you, because I believe that in part of getting in front of a homeowner and getting that listing revolves around the fact that you're going to meet the appraiser and provide them with a lot of information. And that's really what my first class is built around. And during that piece, you're going to talk about the Uniform Collateral Data Portal and Collateral Underwriter, and show them 3 to 5 examples of appraisal packages that you have put together. We kind of did this class a little out of sort. That class I'm talking about is my first class, and this is actually my 5th. So we kind of started at the end, so that's good. You'll be here, and then we'll kind of fill in some of the spaces from before. So you are going to have appraisal packages. And that's all what you're going to have in your listing book. So now you've got these 2 books put together, and now let's say you get a call to go out on a listing appointment. So yay, you're going out on a listing appointment in this neighborhood you're farming. I want you to grab your 2018 book. When you get this call, I want you to go through and use your Post-it note dots to pre-mark houses that have recently sold in your neighborhood with dots. And these are going to be the houses that you're most likely going to want to talk about, because nobody wants to sit there while you look through your book that says 2018 and watch you fumble through all of these pages and all these sales. I want you to pre-mark them. So you get a call from the homeowner. I want you to ask maybe 3 kind and nice questions. It is critically important to be kind and nice at this very early stage. You're starting to develop a relationship. I want you to ask a question. So thank you so much. First question I want you to ask, can you tell me, how did you get my name? Was it through referral, or how did you find me? If they say you were referred to me by, you immediately write their name down, whoever referred them. Second kind of nice question. Can you just tell me a few things about recent updates that you might have completed for your home? Or if you haven't, that's great too. Could you just please let me know of any recent updating? Let them talk to you, start talking to you about this home that they own. And then the third question I want you to ask is, when we set up this appointment, most times my listing appointments run for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Would there be a time that would fit with you? And get an hour and a half to 2 hour window at least. If you leave after an hour, that's fine. But I like to set expectations that this is going to be somewhat of an event and they need to have the time blocked. So you ask these 3 questions, you hang up the phone. If they were referred, on your desk, you have a pile of thank you notes, and next to it you have a pile of gift cards, like Starbucks cards, or whatever you want to have as gift cards. And you immediately write a handwritten note to whoever gave you that referral. Whoever referred these people to you, they immediately get a handwritten note. Thank you so much for this referral. Nothing makes my day more than getting a referral. I appreciate them so much. I appreciate you and sending this referral to me. Have a Starbucks or 2 on me. I hope you have a great day. You send that day, non-negotiable. You do not say, I'll send it in the mail tomorrow. If it's at night, you drive it to the post office that night and you put it, I need you to do it that day, the exact day that you get the referral. The main reason is that I'm hopeful that whoever referred them is going to get a note from you saying thank you before you even meet with that prospective homeowner and that listing appointment. Because hopefully these 2 are going to touch base. And this person's going to call them up and say, hey, I heard you talk to Scott and he's going to come over to your house on Saturday. They're going to say, how did you know that? Oh, gosh, Scott sent me this really nice little note. Gosh, threw in a nice Starbucks card for me. I'm sitting here drinking Starbucks while I'm calling you. And that's what made me think about it, is this free Starbucks. You know what that does? Is it tells that homeowner that you're grateful and that you're a good person. So you immediately send off that card. The second thing I want you to do is pull up county records. Try to gather data. Look in Matrix and see if the house is sold anytime in the last 5 to 7 or 8 years, because Matrix seems to go back about 7 or 8 years. See if you can pull up anything about that house in Matrix to see what it sold for. I want you to drive by this house. I don't want you to get caught. Okay, I want you to drive by the house. Do a drive-by. If they've got an alley, drive down the alley and peek over the fence, but don't get caught. All right, start gathering some information, because that's going to help you pre-mark your books with comps that you're going to want to talk about. Now you're going out on a listing appointment. So I have to tell you about one of my realtors I work with. She calls listing appointments the show, flat out. She calls them the show. So you can get a visual of what she looks like. She's maybe 4.5 feet tall. She maybe weighs 90 pounds sopping wet. She's in her 70s, and everywhere she goes, she wears high heels. I have never not seen her in extremely high heel shoes. I've never seen her not wearing extremely high heel shoes. She takes with her at a listing appointment, she takes a minimum of 3 years of books. So she's going to have 2017, 16, and 15. Sometimes if she's really trying to show off, she'll take 5 years of books. And she has her listing book. And then she carries this giant purse. I call it the Snoopy Doghouse purse. Because you can say to her, gosh, can we stop? I'm getting kind of hungry. And she'll say, you're hungry? Here's a sub sandwich. And out of her purse will come a sub sandwich. It's just the Snoopy Doghouse. She just reaches in and pulls out whatever she needs. It's magic. It's a magic purse. So I go out and I try to do at least 2 listing appointments a year with my folks that I work with to make sure they don't develop any bad habits. And when I go out with her, she doesn't let me carry anything because, as she said, this is about me. It's not about you. And I'm always introduced as an assistant or somebody that they're working on training. So this is how she introduces me. she'll go up to the door. What she does so incredibly well is that she owns every single second of what is going to happen from the minute she rings the doorbell to the minute that she leaves that house. She's going to orchestrate everything. She might let the homeowner think that they're involved, but they really aren't. She is 100% taking over this listing at the very second she introduces herself. She'll walk up to this house in these giant high heels. She leans in, rings the doorbell with her shoulder. I'm standing behind her like this, begging, please let me hold something, please. I look just terrible. And the homeowner opens the door. When the homeowner opens the door, you can see it happen. She'll say, hi, how are you? And then she'll back up to open the screen door. And when they do that, you'll see her muscles just ever so slightly relax enough where some of the books fall. And she'll drop them on the ground on purpose. And that homeowner will lean over, oh my goodness, let me help you. And you've got so much stuff. Oh, thank you, I really appreciate it. What has she just done? She's engaged them. They're helping her. We have just started down the path of becoming friends. We're developing a relationship right then and there because that homeowner is helping her now. She says, as you can see, I bring all of this stuff to a listing appointment. Is there some place that we could set up that I could show you all the things that I've brought? A dining room table would be perfect. Okay, well, we can go in here. She's telling them what she wants. She's not saying, is there any place? And you decide. She's saying the dining room or a kitchen countertop, whatever is convenient for you. That gets them involved and they start thinking and they're going, she just sets her stuff down. When you set your stuff down, she immediately grabs her clipboard and she says to that homeowner, will you please show me your home? And I want you to use words like show me your home rather than show me your house. Because even that slight wordplay is important because a home attaches itself to love and feeling. A house can be cold. Will you please show me your home? When she's going through and she's writing down notes, the homeowner thinks that she's writing down notes about what she is seeing in this house. She's not. She's writing down notes about what the homeowner is saying. Because as the homeowner walks you through the house, they're going to start telling you the things that they love about their home. So she's writing down, if the homeowner says, we're going to miss this neighborhood so much every 4th of July, they close off the road and all of us get together for a big barbecue, the kids play, and it's just such Americana awesomeness. 4th of July, awesome. You go through the house, you see the house, you write down all the notes about what the homeowner's saying. If you get this listing, you can go through and write all kinds of notes about what's in there and what you need to work on. This is not that time. I want you to be asking gentle and kind and nice questions. When you sit back down with that homeowner, you're going to start developing a relationship because you're going to look through your notes and you're going to say, so tell me again about that 4th of July. That sounds like so much fun. I noticed that when I was in the kids' rooms that you had the trim where you had marked in around the closets as the kids had gotten taller and you had marked that for all the years you lived here. If I get this listing, I'm going to have my carpenter come in and we're going to match that trim and I'm going to get that taken out. I'm actually going to do something kind of fun for you as a little gift because you don't want to lose that. That's such an important memory for you and your family. You don't want to lose that just because you're moving. So I'll take care of that for you. And you're going to start developing this friendship and this relationship. After you talk for a couple minutes about what you saw and what you wrote down, this is when you're going to go to work. You are going to ask that homeowner for the address of a property that is recently sold that they are thinking about when they're pricing their home. Every homeowner has been paying attention to what's been selling around them for a while. I need you to get at least one from them. Even if it's, I'm not sure of the address, but it's over between 7th and 8th around Race. Okay, 7th and 8th and Race. And it recently sold within the last year, yes. You grab your 2018 book, you look at the R's, and hopefully you've taken a Post-it note dot and put it on one of those that looks about R, and you immediately turn to it. And what was the first thing that I told you to put behind the divider? Was the brochure. Because what does every realtor in the entire world other than you put on the front page of their brochure? A picture of the house. And you turn your book around and you show this to them and you say, is this the house you're talking about? It shows them two things. It shows them that you have a brochure from it and that you had already thought about it to turn that quickly to it. You're not searching for it. You've already thought about it to a certain extent. This is all happening subconsciously. And they're going to look at it and say, yeah, that's the house. And you're going to turn the book back around to yourself. You're going to go past the brochure. And you're going to say, okay, could I just have a second to reacquaint myself with this house? And you're going to turn through and you're going to show them that you have the brochure, the MLS printout, the accounting records. You're going to show them all this stuff. And you're going to go to your handwritten notes. And after you've read about halfway through your handwritten notes, you're ever so casually going to look up and say, okay, I remember this house. As you can see, I've made sure that I've been in every single house listed for sale since January 2018. So my notes, I wrote down in my notes that this house had a very small backyard. And I remember that now. It was like postage stamp size. It was a really small yard for our neighborhood. We have a much better yard. I also wrote down that even though it said updated or remodeled, that was a dated kitchen. That kitchen was done maybe 20 years ago. You have a much nicer kitchen. I also wrote down that it had some pretty terribly ugly drapes, I guess, in all the bedrooms. I think your house is nicer than this. Is there another one? I just need one, because when they give you one, the key is that you then have the notes. If you say, okay, let's start talking about it, you could be omitting ones that you missed. This way, if they're giving you one address, you're having to show them, you're having to perform and show them that, yes, I've been in that house. If you can get two, great. If not, I don't care. After the one or two, you then take control. You already know which houses you're going to talk about. This is where multiple years come in. You can say, all right, you know, in front of you is a 2015 book. Could you hand me that 2015 book? Because when I got your call, I immediately started thinking about houses that have sold in this area. And I've really been working here for a long time. And in 2015, you're going to turn to the pre-marks and you're going to say, there was this sale. And as I remember, it's an exact model match for your house. And at that time, it was the highest that any home had sold for in this neighborhood. And I listed it. And that's why I remember it so clearly. And it was this house. And I think your house is very similar to this home. And since 2015, I actually have a monthly chart that shows that appreciation. And since 2015, this neighborhood has seen an appreciation rate of over 33%. So if we applied that appreciation rate to what this sold for, it would be about here. So I think that's a good starting point for where we would price our home. And if you can hand me this book, and I want you to start showing off. This is all about showing off. And what you're showing off is that you have data that no other realtor has. You're pulling in multiple years. You're talking about the current listings, how this house compares to the current listings. And you're talking about all of this because it's showing that homeowner that you have data that no one else has for this neighborhood. I mean, the poor realtor that shows up after you, are you kidding me? They walk in with like a listing appointment and a folder. And the people are going to be like, where's your stuff? I mean, the last person, they had all this stuff.
Where are your
books? Yeah, your books and your stuff. You're not very professional, I guess. And so it's a way to show off, yes.
Okay, so if you're that second realtor that knocks on the door, because you're fairly new at this, what kind of strategy can you use without the 2015-16?
You still have your listing. You still have the book that says listing that's going to show all the ways that you work. It's going to be your portfolio. The listing book changes as you get more deals, but you can also just start by making up some of those things. You have the referrals. You have the pictures. You can go through and stage your own home if you have to and say, here's some before photos, here's some after photos of rooms that I have staged. You don't have to say the houses that I have sold. You can say rooms that I have staged to show before and after photos. So there's ways for you to develop that listing book while you're putting together the 2018 book. You're also only going to have that 2018 book and 19 book and all these years moving forward for the neighborhood that you farm. You're going to take that listing book with you regardless of where if you're outside of that neighborhood and you're going out on a listing appointment, you're taking that listing book, but you're not taking your other books. This is just for the neighborhood that you farm, okay?
On the property on the listing book, we help each other by checking each other's listing, even though
Exactly.
it's not a your own listing, but it's from our own company. Yeah.
You know, it's also funny because it usually happens at least, sorry, something stuck in my throat. It usually happens at least 4 to 5 times a year where I will have 2 realtors go out on the same listing. And it's always interesting to see who's going to get it. Monthly touches. You are going to be sending out something that is your catchphrase. I need you to sign off on every single one of these things. Please don't say your friend in real estate. Please come up with something creative and fun and unique and different. I'm going to tell all of you that a good designer is worth their weight in gold. I always get the question, where should I be spending my money? Please don't spend your money on Zillow leads. Please don't spend your money on all these other things. Please spend any available funds that you have right now, as limited as it is, on good design. Good design is critically important. A friend of mine that's a loan officer recently redid her website. She's a very attractive lady. And she called me into her office, and she has on her desk a screen that's probably like this big, this wide. I mean, it's huge, this huge monitor on her desk. She calls me in and she said, "Oh my God, Scott, I just got my new website. What do you think?" She's down in Arizona. And she's got long blonde hair and she's wearing a red dress. As I said, very attractive lady. She's coming over Camelback Mountain with Phoenix lights below. And I looked at her and I said, "Oh my God, you look like Godzilla." And she said, "I do look like Godzilla." Because it looked like she was coming over the mountain like, "Oh, I'm going to come swash the city." Like, you got to make the mountain bigger, you smaller. I don't know what's going on, but you need to figure that out. Good design is worth its weight in gold. So come up with some good design. My daughter, this is her 6th week of being a realtor. And we've got her hooked up with the designer, and we're working on some stuff right now for her to come up with some great colors and design logos and stuff. And it's going to be fun. So you're going to have a monthly touch with your good design on it. You're going to get bored with your whatever you're saying long before anyone's going to even remember that you're a realtor, and you're going to have this monthly touch every single month going forward, period. Non-negotiable. I will tell you that door hangers seem to work better than email, and video, your open rate on video email goes up over 100% versus regular email. You need to be sending all of your email out with something that can track it, like BombBomb. BombBomb is a great service that allows you to view your open rate. An open rate of over 11% is deemed to be wildly successful. So you've got your monthly touch. Door hangers are good, better than mailing, because what a door hanger does is it's the person has to come into physical contact before they throw it away, and usually have to carry it further than distance. This is how I sort my mail at home. Every evening, I go out, I get the mail, and I go through the envelopes. If it looks like it's a bill, it goes into one pile. If it's addressed to me and it's not a bill and it's not handwritten, I don't even open it. It's just somebody wanting to sell me something. It goes into a pile. Anything that's addressed to my wife goes into one pile. She has to sort through her own stuff. I throw out my stuff, I grab my bills, and that's what I do. That's how I sort mail. That's how most people sort mail anymore. They're not opening up all this stuff they're getting. So you're gonna have to do something where if they can physically touch it and carry it, then it's at least starting to get your brand into them. But what my realtors really do that has sealed the deal is that they have had 2 of them do a twice yearly event, and all the rest do a yearly event. This yearly event is about saying thank you. Thank you to the neighborhood that is giving you this business. It's a way for you to say thank you. So in your neighborhood, I need for you to figure out what is it that floats the boat of the people that live in this neighborhood. I'm going to give you some examples of what my realtors do. I believe the most successful event that is held is put together by my good, I can't say their names, by my good friend. And he lives in a neighborhood where every single person that lives in this neighborhood has at least 75 children. Okay, huge family neighborhood, family-orientated neighborhood to the tens. There is no contraception in this neighborhood, just children everywhere. He has his event is worth easy $400,000 to $500,000 of income a year. And he holds an Easter egg hunt in the middle of the park, in this park that's in the middle of this big neighborhood, once a year. This is how he does it. We fill up, right now we're at about 5,000 Easter eggs. But when we started, it was about 2,000 to 3,000 Easter eggs. My wife and I had just a crate of these bags of these plastic Easter eggs. We dip them in candy, seal them up. We fill up these Easter eggs. One egg gets painted gold, and you put glitter all over it and some fun rhinestone stuff. And whoever finds the gold magic eggs, magic big gold egg, gets this giant basket that he gets from Costco that has enough chocolate to kill a cow. And they win the big basket. The first year, he did everything right. Door hangers, put together a little something in the monthly newsletter that goes out to all the homeowners. Come to this, all of this stuff. Easter, it's the Saturday before Easter. The first year we did it, maybe 30 kids came up. Maybe. He was so disappointed. This is my kids' reaction. The first year we were there, my kids are now, my youngest is 13, my oldest is 25. First year, I'm holding my daughter's hand. We're walking through this park. She's got a little basket. I've got a trash bag. We're picking up Easter eggs. She's like, Dad, I don't want any more Easter eggs. I'm like, pick up some more eggs. We got to clean this park out. She's like, I hate Easter. I'm like, I hate it too. Clean up the park. Second year, probably around 100 or so kids, better. Third year, we're just starting to gain traction. Third year, it snows. You can't redo Easter, okay? So drove over to his house. He had all the stuff. He had bags, and he said, take this to this women's shelter and children's shelter. We're going to just donate the eggs and donate the stuff, and off we go. Fourth year, we're starting to get going. We're about 300-400 kids showed up. Snowed again. It hasn't snowed for the last few years, so we're on a roll. This past year, he was on a concrete table in the middle of this park with a megaphone saying, kids, get your folks ready. The Easter egg hunt starts in 5 minutes. 1 minute, kids. All that you can see on the perimeter of this park are kids, and they're like just shaking. It's like, yeah, let us loose. Go. Kids ran into the park. Parents all gathered. Over 500 probably kids. It was unbelievable, the turnout. It was awesome. There were no banners saying Remax presents. There was one simple little stand-up on the table that had all the food and the donuts and the bagels and the coffee and the hot chocolate, and they had these stations set up, and all it said was in handwritten with a thing. You can even take a business card. It was part of the thing. It said, thank you. I appreciate this business from all of you and love you guys. Love this neighborhood. Handwritten. That's all it was. It's a way for him to say thanks. This neighborhood loves this event. He and his wife have done an awesome job. His son is in his mid-20s now. When we first started, I want you to picture about 6'3" of 14, 15 annoyed child and weighed about 90 pounds. He was just tall bones. And his dad calls him in and he said, hey, the family, we're all getting together and we're doing this Easter egg hunt this weekend and we need somebody, and he's holding, I was in there while he's just doing it, and I saw it all happen, which was so awesome. He's holding this giant rabbit costume head. And he's holding it, and he said, and somebody has to be the Easter bunny, and it can't be your mom, right? Because we're going to be trying to get some clients. So, and here's this kid not even making eye contact. What do you want? No, I'm not going to go. I don't want to. Oh, fine, I'll go. And then all of a sudden he started to understand that he was going to be the Easter bunny. And he started to come to, and he looks up and he's like, oh no, 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 no. And he's like, yeah, you're the Easter Bunny. Okay, this event can't be redone. The hard cost of it, less than $1,000. Just for the food, the drinks, coffee. The hard costs are less than $1,000 probably. It takes a lot of time. There's a lot of effort that goes into it, putting together all the eggs, getting the stuff, organizing it all, setting it all up, being there ready to go. It takes a lot of time, putting it on the newsletter, all these things, but it is invaluable when it comes to the amount of business it pulls to him. Two of my realtors live in areas that consider themselves to be very green, and they do a yearly electronic recycling event. One of them, they pull these electronic recycling trucks up to their homes. They have these big trailers that they put all their electronics into. There's no cost for this because the person that's recycling gets to keep the profits of what they sell. And it's done in a safe way, so somebody isn't stealing all your data from your old hard drive. One of them does twice a year yard sales, wildly successful. In this neighborhood where she does the yard sale, there are 4 entrance points for this neighborhood, and she will set up a table at these entrance points. She does all of puts it in the, puts it out online. There's going to be all this neighborhood sale. When you sign up, you send a list of some of the bigger items that you're looking at selling. For instance, if it's a theme, like you're getting rid of kids stuff or house stuff or whatever you're getting to do, she will list all of this under your address, puts it all together, and each person, as they drive into this neighborhood to go to the yard sales, they get a book that she has put together all of the houses, their addresses, it's all coded, and it talks about some of the items that you're looking to sell. She puts this all together. She mans these 4 things. She goes the night before. She puts a sign in front of each of the houses that's going to have a yard sale, and she puts a balloon on it. And she puts this whole yard sale thing together. It's a lot of work, but the hard cost, it's just printing. Mm-hmm. Another successful one. This neighborhood prides itself on being patriotic. Every 4th of July, they actually have, in this particular neighborhood, they have a neighborhood little kids bike parade where the kids decorate their bikes and their scooters and their tricycles. They have an antique car parade, and this neighborhood is off the charts 4th of July. And what she does is she donates 4 large sheet cakes to the neighborhood lunch barbecue that's done for the 4th of July. She donates these 4 big cakes, and then the morning that everyone walks out of their house, the night before on July 3rd, if it's on July 4th, on July 3rd, she has a pre-barbecue at her house, and we all go over to her home. She feeds us and gets us all liquored up, and then she gives us a bag of flags. And we go, and we are responsible for whatever blocks these are, and we go, and in front of each house, we put a flag, and on each flag, there's her business card. We do this down the entire street on both sides. And we're responsible for however many houses. These people walk outside on the 4th of July and they look up and down the street and all they see are US flags and they're like, love the US, okay? This is awesome for her. Simple, okay? It costs more to get us liquored up the night before than it does for any of these other things. I want you to think of some creative, fun ways for you to hold a yearly event to say thank you for this neighborhood. Another great way to get involved in the neighborhood is to volunteer at the neighborhood elementary school. That's invaluable for getting in front of the people that live in this neighborhood. Volunteer at the neighborhood elementary school. To do that, you're going to have to go to a police station, get fingerprinted, they do a background check, then you can apply as a volunteer at a neighborhood elementary school. And it could be for helping with kids. I mean, if you can volunteer at the elementary school a few hours each week, that is going to drive a lot of business to you. So those are some ways that we look at farming, look at marketing. There are 10 million different ways and 10 million different companies that are going to sell you online stuff and tell you to do this. And there's a lot of ways for y'all to spend your money. When I'm telling you about these things really aren't about spending money. It is all about developing those relationships and getting in there and being that person that everyone thinks of as the mayor of your neighborhood. That's how you want to be thought of, as the mayor. Anyone that's moving in, another key thing too is as you develop this neighborhood and you start to farm it, what's going to organically happen is that other realtors, when they have a client that wants to live in this neighborhood, they're going to start reaching out to you ahead of time. And they're going to say, hey, I've got this client. I'm taking them to see what's on the market right now. They haven't seen anything they really like. They're kind of particular. If you have something like this, let me know that's coming up. And you're going to keep all that data to let those people know when you get these listings. My realtors helped 34 homes to sell over winter, because in the spring buying season is when you're going to sell your house for the top of the market and get the most for it. And each one of them was getting hit up by other realtors that they work with, and they're saying things like, we know you've got listings. We know you do. Well, we know that they're going to be awesome. When are you going to go? I've got buyers right now. These buyers want to go. Why can't we go see your house? Can you just give me an idea of where it might be? What's the price point? I sure would like to know. They start to expect it and realize it and look forward to it. So that also helps you grow your neighborhood as you farm. So those are kind of my ideas on it. I've been talking for an hour and a half. So thank you all for letting me come out. Any questions that you have or want to discuss? On mine. Hi, nice man. Hi, Mike. Hi. Any questions or anything that I can go over with you? Thanks, you guys, for coming out. I appreciate it. At Cherry Creek, all we ask, America's Mortgage is a subsidiary of Cherry Creek. All we ask is a shot at your business. We are Colorado's largest purchase money lender. We have been in this state. We started in this state. We've now grown to be one of the top 25 largest lenders in the country, and we would love, love, love to work with you. So please give us a shot at your business. Please, my buddy Chris, a shot at your business, please. Thank you very much.
So we have a comment right now.
A comment. Look at this. Wow, that was awesome. Thank you so much. From Lee. I love you, Lee. I don't see a picture of you, but thank you. Thank you. All right.
So you guys work with Bill Edwards, right?
Yeah, Bill. We know Bill Edwards.
Bill, yeah, I use Bill.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and that's probably when you came to a class. Was Bill sponsored a bunch of my classes a couple of years ago? So it's been about a year and a half probably since I've seen you. Yeah. So yes.
What are your thoughts on farming new build areas? My neighborhood is fairly new, so if I go that route, that's kind of what I'm up against.
Okay, so I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I don't like new neighborhoods.
Right.
I don't like them for a lot of reasons, but the main reason let me give you a few. The main reason that I do not like new construction neighborhoods to farm is that if the market turns and you've got a lot of people buying in that house, in that neighborhood, or you're listing homes in that neighborhood, and the market turns, the builder is going to undercut you like that. And all of a sudden, that house that you have listed for sale for $300, they're going to be selling that same model for $295 brand new, because they can. And I saw some folks that work up in Stapleton and over in Lowry. When our market turned, they got destroyed, because these aren't people that I work with personally, but I saw some folks that worked in those neighborhoods. They got destroyed because they had helped buyers buy in those neighborhoods, and all of a sudden those buyers are having to sell, and then they can't, and they're blaming that realtor. Even though they wanted the product and they were all in, they're now saying, we trusted you, and what do you mean our house is falling in value and we can't even sell, and the builders are selling for less, and this isn't fair. Builders aren't fair. Another part about farming a new construction neighborhood is, what is the clientele for a new construction neighborhood? Somebody who wants to buy a new home, not an existing home. And the main reason why there's such a huge difference in marketability for these two products is the person that wants to buy a new home wants the ability to customize it to their taste. The person that's buying an existing home, they're willing to deal with somebody else's decisions for flooring, window coverings, and that sort of thing. So the markets are typically different. And so when you are in a new home subdivision, you're competing against that new home buyer, the new home buyer all the time, and trying to get them to come to your house. There's a lot of possibility, and in our market, I'm not saying don't do it, but just be careful. Be very, very careful if you are going to get heavily involved. I'd be more hesitant if I did not have such great, I believe that our market is going to be great for a very long period of time. Y'all need to be writing your congressperson and tell them to get Amazon. You need to be writing our governor and tell them to go after Amazon. We at Amazon we're not going to have a downturn here for a decade at a minimum. I mean, we're top 3 for Hyperloop right now. If we get Hyperloop and we get Amazon, we are New York City in the middle of the country. And there's a very strong chance that we could get Amazon, but we have to work at it a little bit harder than we're doing right now. The New York Times came out and they said that Amazon should put their second headquarters here, which was a huge endorsement. We have DIA, we have an international airport, we have the infrastructure in place, we've got the light rail, and we've got the quality of life that those people at Amazon have gotten used to in Seattle with better weather. Several years, and it's been several years, I was offered a job, and I was born and raised in Denver. My parents, I'm 53 years old, my parents have lived in the same house for 51 years. And in this neighborhood, and so I know Denver really well, and when I got this job offer, it was to relocate to Seattle. And Seattle is the only other city that I've been to, period, in the 34 states that I go to, and when I travel, it's the only other place I could see myself living. And it is spectacular when it's nice. But from about November until about March, it's not, or May, or April, May, and it's cloudy and overcast. And we were talking to a realtor, and the realtor was saying, oh yeah, on a beautiful day like today, this is when all of you people come here and you all buy a house. And then next April, about 50% of the people that buy a house here, they call us up and say, is our planet still orbiting a bright and shiny thing called the sun that provides heat and warmth to the rest of the world, because we haven't seen it for a long time? And then you move back to wherever you come from. So we offer the Seattle lifestyle. And Seattle is probably about 20% more expensive. And if Amazon comes here, we're going to see about 20% appreciation like that. So if you hear Amazon's coming, please do yourself a favor and go buy any house you can as fast as you can, because we're going to see a huge appreciation in home values really quickly. So if we can get Amazon and if we get the Hyperloop, we're set for decades to come. Regardless, I want all of you to know that as I do travel around the country presenting to realtors, this is the response I get when I tell somebody I'm from Denver. Universal. I love Colorado. I would love to live in Colorado. You live in Denver? I'd love to live in Denver. It's such a great city. Colorado's so beautiful. Like, yes, it is. But this is also what they think that we do. They think that what we do is we wake up, smoke a bowl, go skiing, go whitewater rafting, then work for a couple hours, and then have lunch. And then maybe we'll climb a fort, whatever. They think it's X Games all the time. That's what we all do. But we are very blessed to be in Colorado. We're very blessed to live here, and we're very blessed to have this to be our home for a long period of time. You don't want to be in Illinois. Illinois is seeing values declining. The entire state is in bankruptcy. Chicago is making a big play for Amazon. I'm pretty sure Amazon community does not want to be living in Chicago, which has the highest murder rate in the entire country. So property taxes are ridiculous. I have a friend that lives he's a branch manager for us outside of Chicago, and his home, modest. I want you to think of, like an 1,800 square foot, 1970s, very simple construction, 2-story. His house, he said, is worth maybe $350,000, $400,000. His yearly real estate taxes are over $20,000. I mean, nobody can afford to retire and stay in Chicago because the property taxes are so high. They can move across to Indiana, get twice the house, and 1/4 the property taxes. So Illinois, we're so lucky to be in Colorado. So remember that, go out there, get some business, tell people how awesome it is to live here. Any other questions?
How long would it take to see like a return on investment from the farming?
That's a good question.
Year, 2 years?
I'm saying 3 to 5 years. I want you to have a 3 to 5 year commitment to this project. 3 to 5 years.
When I
Yes.
hear you say from the notes, every time there is a property there, considers it a possible.
Every single house that is listed in your neighborhood that you're going to farm, you're going to go in and write handwritten notes from whenever you decide moving forward, period, non-negotiable. And that is, I talked about that where, the kid wasn't doing that piece of it. That was what he was tasked with doing, because we need to get his knowledge about the neighborhood up. So we said, you're responsible for holding down that piece of it. You have to make those appointments. You have to get in there. He wasn't aggressive enough in our market. Things were selling so fast. People weren't really going for previews. He wasn't thinking, and plus he liked to ski on weekends. I'm like, I'm sorry, you gave up skiing on weekends when you decided you wanted to be a realtor. Okay, flat out. You no longer get your weekends anymore. That's for spending time with clients. You can ski on Monday or Tuesday when the slopes are empty. And so when we were doing all this, there were 4 homes, bam, 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 that we missed. And they sold really fast, and we couldn't get in after. I mean, we tried. So we wrote up some stuff to make it look like we had, but we didn't. And so you have to think about that, make that appointment, have that auto key to ping you whenever a house is listed so that you need to set up that appointment. Okay?
Will it help also to do an open house if the other listing agents?
Open houses are strong, and there's a great app that you can have at an open house, and it's called Open Home Pro. And Open Home Pro, how we use Open Home Pro is it's on a tablet or a computer, and for people to, as people come in, instead of having a sign-up sheet, we have found that more than half the time we can never read what the sign-up sheet said, or they gave us a bogus email or a bogus phone number, okay? What's weird is that when somebody's typing it, obviously you can read the name, but when somebody's typing it, they're less inclined to lie, okay? So they're more inclined to actually give you an actual email address and a contact that you can read. And then Open Home Pro, what it does is it takes that contact that you've just gotten, and it goes in, it scours through your database and through your social network and looks for connections to start connecting you to that person. So it's a really great app that you can have for open houses to start getting that brand recognition. Anything else I can help you guys with?
You mentioned the door hangers or
Yes.
mail that or a lot of the flyers you send.
Yeah.
I get a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
through my mail.
Uh-huh.
So and also you're talking about good design. So could a good, well-designed door hanger or flyer be more attractive?
Oh,
than the
absolutely.
others that come through?
Absolutely.
Because I got a bunch right here that, just for an example, that why would I pick one versus the other really?
Good design, and it's funny because good design is something that's impossible to almost, I can't tell you what makes good design, I can only show you. But good design is going to be so appealing that it's going to force you to stop and look. Because your brain is engineered, we are being bombarded by so much information that our brain, just to survive, has gotten so quick at editing, we don't even know that we're editing. And so when you're looking at something, if you're going through mail and you're like, yeah. Good design is going to make you go, well, that's kind of pretty, and make you stop and look. And that is all about the design aspect. It's about, and another thing I get too, I get this a lot, because people say, well, there's all these electronic ways for me to reach out to people, and there are, and that's very important. I'm not saying you don't have that piece of it, but I can tell you there is a tactile sensation to when you're holding something that starts to respond to something inside of you that you don't, your subconscious starts to say things like, wow, this is really well done. What I'm saying is this paper is really thick. This feels substantial. And when something feels substantial, you're more professional. So there's all these tactile responses that also are involved with touch. And so I want you to never get so involved with your electronic piece that you forget the importance of the touch, the feel of what you're sending out. I like, if you're sending out things, I like different sizes of paper. I know that kind of sounds weird, but I don't want this size. I don't want half this size. I want a piece of paper that's like this and like that wide. It's a different sort of paper, a different shape. Different shapes actually are key in your brain to pay attention to something, because if something is so different that it's reflecting in the shape, it stands out, and your brain is actually hardwired to pay attention to it because it's trying to figure out, that shape that your brain is not familiar to, is trying to figure out if it's dangerous or okay. It's so embedded in our brain to be looking for danger that anything that is not typical creates a response in your brain to determine if it's a danger or if it's good. And because it's trying to figure out, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to respond to that. And then they're looking at it with the design. Oh, it's good. And this is interesting. And it's starting to key in that way. But it's a fight or flight type reaction with different shapes. So I want you to play with shapes and see what is kind of giving you more of a response. People respond more. And so there's all kinds of different things that you can do with
So
that.
you just basically have to make it like too good for someone to want to recycle it. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Put some thought into it. I will also say that if you can figure out a way to do something that has some sort of code that somebody can use to get something for free, that's a good way for them to start paying attention. If you have something like that on every single thing that you mail out, then they're going to start expecting it and looking for the code that gets them the free thing, or the % off, or whatever it is. I want you to think about having something like that in everything that you send out via mail, because then that starts to have a conditional response on behalf of the person receiving it, that they're supposed to be looking for something that's going to benefit them. So not only do they stop, they also look at it to get whatever the code is. Yes.
Free donut, or like, are you talking
Yeah,
more like
a free donut, a free cup of coffee.
Okay.
There's that service that you can get that sends these mailers out for you that gets them a % off at a restaurant each month, or whatever it is, if they use your code. You can also include those codes in your electronic things when you're going around with your phone and you're doing a Facebook Live that you're going to leave on your Facebook, or you're sending out a video and email, and people engage with that. What Facebook Live is about. I've talked way too long. Thank you guys for coming out today. Thanks for having me. All right, enjoy your day. Bye, everybody.